It's getting cold outside. Time to put another log on the fire. Start a new build. This is a kit that I've had for quite some time. It's a Peck Polymers kit, and it is sold by Indoor Model Supply. It's called the Flying Flapper, and it's an indoor ornithopter kit. I have everything laid out here. Got some tools, got my plan taped down, and I have all the materials laid out. I have the plan taped down flat underneath saran wrap so the wood doesn't stick to my plans. For tools, number 11 X-Acto knife, nice thin razor saw. I have a Yoo-hoo glue stick using Sig Bond and some medium CA with a thin tip. This kit has a wood color code right here. So here's all the wood from the kit. So the red is ribs that are laser cut for the stabilizer. It's a much thinner wood, softer, lighter wood. These are blue for the center section ribs. It has laser cut wing spars. These are cut at a taper. So I have to cut them out of this piece here. This is a piece that's colored green. It's a much heavier, stiffer balsa. It's for the spar extensions, for flapping the wings. Got the motor stick. And then for the center section of the wing, got the blue balsa wood. Got a little package here with some rubber and some wire, some Teflon tubes for making washers, and some little piece of aluminum for making the bearings for the flapping part of it. So here's the directions. I'm going to follow the directions and build this and show the sections when I'm done building. Have the motor stick cut out. What I usually do is cut slightly long, then I sand it. So to get this angle and to get this length, I sanded it. Now I'm doing this spacer right here under the front of the motor stick. And the way I do it is I lay that on there, and then simply lay my razor saw on there, make that cut slightly long. So there is the spacer, and I'll sand this square on that angle. Check it on the plans. It's slightly long. So then what I'll do is I'll glue this together and I'll sand that front angle. I have this entire assembly done. Motor stick, the tail boom and rudder built. And I have the tube bearing mounted on the balsa spacer. I have the crank bent up with the hook for the rubber. Also have the rear hook done. What I use to strengthen it is 6-pound spider wire. So doing what I call whipping with it. Wrap it with the spider wire, soak it with CA, adds a tremendous amount of strength. So I have the crank bent up. I used the Teflon tubing that came with the kit to cut these two little washers. It says one, but on all my free flights I would put two so they can kind of turn against each other instead of one rubbing against this aluminum hanger, one rubbing against the wire. They're like lubricating each other. So they say you want this nice and free. You can see it spins really nice, very important. And the rear peg, rear hook, I have my hook, and then I wrap this up and underneath the wire, and calls for a short little piece of aluminum. So that's glued in and whipped in with the 6-pound spider wire, and the rudder, tail boom and rudder is built. The tail boom is actually tapered. So I laid this piece flat and sanded a taper to it. That's what it shows on the plan. So now that assembly is done. Got the wing center section built with the plan stretched flat, taped down, and the saran wrap flat and taped down. I simply cut my end pieces here, weight it down with pliers, and then I'm taking this sig bond and just dumping a little bit on a piece of tape here. Cut these cross members here, just dip each end in the sig bond, place it where it needs to be. Got the ribs, cut the ribs out of the laser cut sheets. So same with them, cut them out, cut them to length, and then dip them in a glue them on, and then I have these vertical pieces in the center of the ribs glued in. So ready to come off the board. And there is the center wing section. Here it shows the struts where it mounts to the motor stick. There's the stiffener on the ribs. And then here is the crank, and these are the connecting rods. Right here is your wing spars. This is all connected up in this center section. As this turns, these connecting rods will be causing the wings to flap. Here are the tapered wing spars with these extensions on here. So they have a double angle. It's tilted this way. It's tilted this way. Each one of these extensions. Interesting thing, the plan does not show a left and a right. It just shows that angle from the front view and the top view. So what I did was I built this one. So I have this angle here and this angle right here. And then I aligned both spars along the edge of the plan here. And for this spar, which is going to be the left wing, I just made that angle the same. Now I'm building the supporting structure for the wing spars. Now that the wing spar extensions are dry. We got the tapered spars built into this supporting structure on both sides. All this structure in here. Over on this side, just doing whatever it takes to hold it down with bottles of glue. Hard to believe it's gonna flap. Now it's starting to look like something. Did this part here, cut these struts out, got everything mounted to the motor stick, the wing center section. Bit of a chore getting everything straight, so level like this, centered on the motor stick. You're just building in the air at this point. I'm slicing the spars for the stabilizer. These are so light, this entire structure. I'm clamping it down with quarters. Make my cut to the length here. And got to cut these ribs, which I already have cut out from the strip, the laser cut strips. It's tweezer time. I'm going to attempt to show the process of one rib. When it gets to be tweezer time, the smaller and more delicate it is, the better I like it. And for the record, this structure is still not as delicate as my Easy Bee, Bodacious. So you just have to be creative, come up with ways to be steady enough to get in there and do what you have to do. So here I've cut the rib to length. I center it on the radius that they have. Take the equal amount off both ends that they have figured for this airfoil. Okay, now I have to hold it in place while I glue it. And gluing it, this tip here would put too much glue on it. So I put a little bit of glue on this piece of tape here, some fresh glue. That would just flood it, be way too much. I'm going to apply it with my number 11 X-Acto blade. So I need to be able to hold the rib in place while I'm gluing it, because it will stick to the number 11 razor blade also. So what I'm doing here is I'm closing the tweezers most of the way, dropping the rib down so it stays upright, and I'm gently squeezing the rib. I could also crush that rib if I squeeze it too tight. Now, let me re-grab that. I need a lower angle to be steady with my hand. I'm going to put my hand down here, touch the tweezers down with the rib centered, and I'm going to hold pressure on the plan. So again, I need to have my hand far enough out of the way to where I can get in there and glue it. So line it up, drop it between. Now I am putting pressure down on these tweezers here. Need to come back this way a little bit, move that over. Okay, now I can hold this pressure down, hold this rib upright and in place. Don't move my left hand. Pick up a little glue with the number 11 X-Acto. Flood that joint. And by flood, I mean not a lot of glue. Same over here on this side. Make sure my rib is down. That's down flat on the plan. Everything's lined up. My spars are lined up and the rib is vertical. Stabilizer is finished. I'll show you how I cover a light structure like this with condenser paper. And like with a lot of things, there's more than one way to do it. This is how I do it with condenser paper. I use the Yoo-hoo glue sticks. Holds really well, long term even, easy to apply. So what I do is I smooth that a bit, and I've already went around and checked how flat is this laying down on the table here. And I notice over here, here, and here, it's raised up a little bit, and over here. So after I apply the paper, I'm going to weight these spots down. So you just keep it, basically just the glue it that I did the joints with is holding it down on the saran wrap. So just going to go around here. Try not to move anything. Glue all the tops of the spars and the ribs. You don't have to rush too much on this. It's fairly slow drying. The other advantage of doing it on the plan is I can verify that I don't have anything twisted or skewed. So these sheets are in really nice shape. By that I mean I've had sheets where they were folded more, and you have to really work with them to lay it out. Not so with these sheets. So I just laid it on there, relaxed, pushing it down on the Yoo-hoo glue. And I'm just pushing the ribs down, letting them spring back. And again, I can still see through the condenser paper that my structure is nice and square. And like I said, I'm going to weight this down now a little bit on this side here. Anywhere else where I feel like it's springing up. A little bit there. This came way up. Glue must have popped loose from the saran wrap. Okay, so you can position this, reposition it a little bit. Like you can rub it like this with your fingers, and you got like where it's a little bit looser, like right there. Looks like it's a little bit looser. So I'm holding, with this finger, I'm holding the structure in place. And I'm pulling the condenser paper just with my fingers. Like right here, I got a bit of a wrinkle in that corner. There, see how I just repositioned that? Took that wrinkle out. After this dries, I'll leave it set here for a bit. Take a brand new number 11 X-Acto and just cut this outline out and move this paper out of the way, and then I'll have to get the structure off with a saran wrap without breaking anything. I have the condenser paper cut out all the way around on the stabilizer. Got it up off the plan. Beautiful structure. After taking off the plan, I go around and squeeze like this, more firmly seat the condenser paper. When it was on the plan, I was bringing the ribs down and lightly pressing in, so I went over the entire structure. Got the condenser paper seated firmly on the stabilizer. I also have the rudder done. It's not hard to do. Lay it flat on the table, hang the motor stick off the edge of the table, rub it down with the Yoo-hoo glue, cut a piece of condenser paper out, dropped it on here. I went around and more firmly pressed this in. Wait till that dries and I'll cut it out. This is such a cool build. I have all the mechanics done on the Ornithopter. Connecting rods, all the hinges. What a interesting design. The model is done. Everything is covered and assembled. Here are the wings, all covered. So I'll get it assembled and we'll take a look at it. Fully assembled. I've tested it. It works. All up weight, 4 grams with the rubber motor. It's a really light and delicate structure. Here's a look at how straight everything came out. Look at how flat the stabilizer is, the rudder, everything's squared up. The stabilizer to the center wing section. The date on the print is 1981. I'm not sure when the first ornithopter was built as far as a model goes, but fascinating concept. So impressed that somebody came up with this idea. Here we go, my first ornithopter. Just letting it go. Heard the instructions, 100 turns for your first flight. If it dives, you adjust the stabilizer up. If it stalls, you adjust it down. Let's see how she does. I basically trimmed the model. So first time I flew it, it was stalling. Bent the stabilizer down slightly. That wasn't a half bad looking level flight to me. Here's what they're saying, how capable this model is. Figured out how to check the glide with the ornithopter. That's so beautiful.